There are certain names that seem to shimmer in the cultural memory long after the spotlight fades. Names that defined an era not just because of what they did, but because of what they represented. Tyson Beckford is one of those names. To the 1990s generation, his face was everywhere, towering above New York billboards, gracing the covers of GQ and Vogue, and defining what it meant to be a male supermodel. But Tyson's story is not just about fashion or fame. It's about the deeper mechanics of American celebrity, how image, race, and charisma collide in a country obsessed with beauty and success. Born on December 19, 1970 in Rochester, New York, Tyson Beckford's journey began far from the glamour of Manhattan runways. His parents were Jamaican, and he grew up navigating the mix of Caribbean discipline and American culture that would later shape his unique identity. Before the fame, Tyson was just another kid who loved sports, music, and fast cars. Nothing that hinted he'd one day become the face of Ralph Lauren's Polo empire. In fact, he was even teased in school for his distinct features. Yet the very traits that made him stand out back then would later make him world famous. It all started with an encounter that feels almost mythic in hindsight. One day in the early 1990s, while walking through Washington Square Park, a talent scout spotted Tyson. That moment would change everything. Soon after, he was signed to modeling agencies and catapulted into the world of high fashion. But it was his partnership with Ralph Lauren that turned him into a legend. Tyson didn't just wear polo, he was polo. His sculpted features, smooth confidence, and calm intensity became the living embodiment of the brand's ideal. Effortless luxury, masculine strength, and refined cool. For a generation growing up in the 90s, Tyson Beckford wasn't just another model, he was the standard. At a time when fashion was still largely dominated by white models, Tyson's rise as a black man in the industry was revolutionary. He became one of the first black male supermodels to achieve global recognition. His image shattered stereotypes and opened doors for countless others. But behind that calm, almost untouchable exterior was someone who understood the heavy price of being both idolized and misunderstood. Because fame, especially in America, is a double-edged sword. It rewards visibility but punishes authenticity. It celebrates individuality while pressuring everyone to fit into a sellable image. Tyson understood this tension intimately. The same industry that crowned him also boxed him in. For years, he was the face, not the voice, admired, photographed, but rarely heard. The fashion world can be ruthless in that way. It devours icons faster than it creates them. And yet, Tyson refused to fade. Instead, he evolved. He took his charisma beyond the runway, appearing in films like Into the Blue and Zoolander, and even music videos for stars like Toni Braxton and Britney Spears. He also hosted Make Me a Supermodel on Bravo, mentoring new talent and giving a glimpse into the same industry that had once transformed him. But beneath the glamour, Tyson remained grounded. His interviews reveal a man who's aware of the illusion of fame, someone who knows that celebrity in America isn't just a status, it's a system. A machine that feeds on attention, controversy, and image. That's where Tyson's story connects to something larger. The psychology of American celebrity itself. In America, fame is treated almost like a currency. People chase it, trade on it, lose themselves in it. It's a dream that's as intoxicating as it is dangerous. Tyson once described how, at the height of his fame, he could barely walk down the street without being recognized. People would reach out, touch him, take photos, as if being near him could somehow transfer a bit of that glamour. That's the strange power of celebrity. It blurs the line between admiration and ownership. But there's also a racial layer to Tyson's fame that can't be ignored. In the 1990s, being a successful black man in high fashion wasn't just rare, it was revolutionary. His presence on major campaigns challenged an industry long criticized for its lack of diversity. Yet even then, there were limits. Many brands were hesitant to feature more than one black model at a time. Tyson's rise didn't dismantle the system, it exposed its contradictions. He became both the exception and the evidence of how much still needed to change. Over the years, Tyson has spoken candidly about those contradictions, about being celebrated for his looks while constantly being reminded of his race. He's also talked about how easily fame can distort your sense of self. People see you as this image, he once said, but they don't know what you're carrying inside. That's the unspoken truth of celebrity life. The higher you rise, the lonelier it often becomes. And yet, Tyson managed to navigate that world with remarkable balance. He didn't fall into the traps that swallowed so many other stars. No drug scandals, no breakdowns, no desperate attempts to stay relevant. Instead, he chose maturity, focusing on his son, his health, and his quiet love for cars and motorcycles. His social media today shows a man who's content being real, not perfect. It's a version of fame that feels more human, less curated. If anything, Tyson Beckford's longevity says something profound about how the idea of celebrity is changing. The old model of untouchable stars, flawless images, and mystery doesn't hold up anymore. Today's audiences crave authenticity. They want to see the cracks behind the perfection. Tyson, who came from a time when fame meant being larger than life, now embodies the opposite. Grounded, self-aware, and genuinely at peace with his place in history. Still, the world of celebrity continues to fascinate and consume. America's obsession with fame is almost religious in intensity. From influencers to movie stars, the culture keeps reinventing new idols to worship, and then tearing them down when they fail to live up to impossible standards. Tyson's story stands as a quiet counterpoint to that madness. He reminds us that fame doesn't have to define you. It can simply be a chapter in your larger story. In a way, Tyson Beckford became a symbol of something deeper than fashion. He represented the possibility of being seen, truly seen, in a culture that often erases. His success made him an icon, not just for his beauty, but for his defiance. He didn't just wear the clothes, he wore confidence. And in an industry built on artifice, that's rare. Even now, decades after his rise, his influence can be felt everywhere. In the diversity of today's runways, in the representation of black masculinity in media, and in the quiet dignity of aging gracefully in an industry obsessed with youth. Tyson Beckford proved that you can be both timeless and evolving, that celebrity doesn't have to consume you if you understand what it really is. An illusion built on moments of real connection. And maybe that's the greatest lesson in his story, that behind every photograph, every billboard, and every headline is a human being trying to make sense of the reflection staring back. Tyson Beckford, the man who once defined American cool, ultimately redefined what it means to be a star, not by chasing the spotlight, but by stepping out of it and still shining.